We got to spend some time with this Temerario, thanks to Lamborghini Orlando, and we're going to share with you what our first impressions are, what we love, and a few things we might change if it were up to us. Even though we've had a couple opportunities to see the Temerario in person, we wanted to do a bit of an extended test drive to really understand what we are getting whenever we take delivery of our Temerario. It definitely has a very Gallardo inspiration, especially the sides. Slightly flatter panels than what you experience with the Huracan, but then you get to the back, and that is beautiful, aggressive. Like we've said before, it looks like she's pulling up her skirt, showing some leg there with the tires. The front, this is the spot where we hope that there is some more design adjustment made in the future. It's a little bit flat and soft. This thing is freaking wide though. That is a wide front on this car. So we would love to see a little bit more aggression in these lines, see them a little bit more accented, maybe some scoops up on the front in future iterations. Those daytime running lights have grown on us a little bit. It's cool that the upper half actually functions as the turn signal. I think a design factor could also be that these headlights open up a little more. Maybe that's part of where the front throws us off a tad bit, is that those front headlights are so narrow that they don't offer any kind of contrast in the bodywork. That rear, I'm going back to it, because she's hot, literally and figuratively. Yeah. You know, now that I'm thinking about it with these rock launchers, maybe we should put mud flaps. I wonder if that'll be a Lamborghini original accessory. So we had heard that this car is wider than the Huracan, and this is the narrow side of our lifts. So this is actually going to be a good test to see just how tight it is. It seems like it's going to be fine, but we'll find out soon. Come on. Yeah, keep coming. Left side is good, right side is good. No! So as you can see, we did get the Temerario into the spot, but we had to stop filming because it was a wee bit tight and needed total focus. But she does fit with just a little bit of clearance room on the mirrors. That's the problem. While these are both in the garage, we can do a complete side-by-side of the look. And you can actually see a little bit of similarity in the hood lines. You can see that it has these lines here and here. You can see how those lines on the hood bring a similar design pattern. Headlights on the Revuelto, 10 times better than the headlights on the Temerario. I'm sorry, Lamborghini, but those headlights are not my favorite. The Temerario is a little bit set forward from the Revuelto right now, but it is clear, because we usually have an STO parked there. It is clear that that Temerario is long. So the Revuelto set a little bit back because it's almost back here at the very back of the lift. But there's really not a whole lot of distance between the back of the Temerario and the back of the Revuelto, especially if that Temerario is backed up with the nose in line. This is a long car, and it's definitely, from this angle, definitely wider under the lift than the STO is. Not gonna lie, from this angle, the purple car looks really good sitting next to the Revuelto. I'm just saying. Since we had picked up the car Saturday evening, it was time to tuck it in next to the Revuelto until we could drive it the next day. We are getting ready to go to Cars and Coffee with the Temerario and the Revuelto. And you can't tell because this is so loud, but this is actually on as it fogs up the camera. All right, so we just came back from taking the Temerario and the Revuelto out to a local Cars and Coffee. We were able to get this out on the highway, do a little bit of driving, swap to be able to compare it to the Revuelto a little bit. And there were two things that we noticed pretty quickly with the Temerario. One good thing and one thing that we would change. We'll start with the thing that we would change. A lot of you have probably seen this and heard this in videos. It needs an exhaust. So the stock sound is muffled and almost like it's like somebody is trying to talk with their hand over your mouth. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like the car is kind of stifled and restricted. One of the things we noticed is that whenever we switched from the Revuelto to the Temerario, is that in the Revuelto, you have to yell a little bit in order to have a conversation in the car. We love that. Some people may not. We love it. Whenever we switched into the Temerario, you could talk at a normal tone, which maybe that sounds like a good thing, but it's actually a little bit disappointing that you don't have to yell over that monster that's sitting back there. This is all due to global regulation around emissions, unfortunately. And people are like, why is Lambo making such a quiet car? It's the world that we live in. We're just glad that they're still making these cars, period, and giving us a chance to do something aftermarket, right? So let's all be happy about that. Moving on to the Pro, the thing we love about it. It is freaking quick. Holy crap, this car is quick. Whenever we first got on it and we were out on the highway, it was quick. It was okay. We were struggling with the sound and the emotion because it lacked emotion. So there was this feeling of like, are we driving a Lambo? You don't get that audible feedback. But once we were able to get on private property and have a little bit more fun with it and get on it a little bit more, holy crap, this thing is quick. It is pitting you into your seat, make your stomach drop, and make words come out of you that are mildly explicit and inappropriate because you're just in such awe of how quick this car is. And I apologize for my reaction in the upcoming video because it's my raw first reaction. So enjoy that. Fuck! Shit! Jesus Christ! That wasn't even for the camera, I'm shaking. That wasn't even like fucking faked. Holy shit. Where it might lack in factory exhaust sound because of those stupid Euro 7 emissions rules, global emission standards, it makes up for it absolutely slamming you back into the seat with how quick it is. You have to resist the urge to shift because you feel like you should be shifting quicker, sooner than you do. But then you remember, holy crap, I have another 2,000 RPMs that I could go before this thing actually redlines. Would you say that one of the trippiest things is getting used to how long these gears are?
Yes, for sure.
Still in first at 7,000 RPMs. So the one thing we would change, just to recap this long monologue, we would change the sound. We would allow it to breathe and elicit more emotion with the sound. One thing that we love is how freaking quick this car is. Holy cow. How annoying is the turn signal on a scale of 1 to 10, Melinda? 10. Okay. For the record, every turn signal is a 10 for Melinda. I have 5,000 more RPMs to go before I need to shift, for the record. I'm pretty sure we haven't found 6th gear on this car yet. I think we need a track to find 6th gear. So there's this fun game that you can play when you're driving the Temerario, and I think the best name for it is RPM Chicken, because you want to shift, because it sounds like it should shift, but you still have 5,000 RPMs to go. So you're playing chicken with the RPMs. We are wrapping up our 24 hours with this Temerario. And we spent last night talking about how this was like a roller coaster of feedback and emotions about the car. And you'll probably notice that we don't jump into all of the horsepower and the numbers and the metrics and all of the details. And there's plenty of other channels and outlets that are going to deep dive those numbers and compare them to other cars. Whenever we are, I don't want to say reviewing a car because we're not car reviewers, whenever we're sharing our first impressions of a car, it's based around the emotion and the driving experience versus statistics and numbers. So yes, this thing is pushing over 900 horsepower and blah, 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 blah. But we care about what does the drive feel like. And the drive is what is the sensory feedback, especially for us. We enjoy the sounds, the vibrations, the clicks, just all the sensations, I guess, that come with driving these cars. And Lamborghini in particular is known for emotional and raw driving experiences. And that's part of why we are drawn to it. It's like Lamborghini is a little bit refined and a little bit rough around the edges at the same time. Part of what we expect from Lamborghini cars is some of that aggression and that rough around the edges feeling that elicits emotion when you drive the cars. And to be completely honest, the first drives that we had in this Temerario made us say, what is wrong? So there was a bit of panic because we have one on order. There was a bit of panic of thinking, this car doesn't have any emotion. This car lacks something. It's missing something. We stepped into this car with the STO in mind, and we set expectations based on our V10 Huracan STO. And some of you might rail on this, but comparing the Temerario to the STO is a completely unfair comparison because these are drastically different cars that do elicit different emotions. The STO is just that instantaneous sound, raw, brutal. It's everything you expect from the V10. We were expecting that first cold start to wow us a little bit because you expect that from Lamborghini, and it didn't. And so instantly our expectations went, the first sounds, the revving of it does need an exhaust. We are not saying it does not need an exhaust. It does. To let its full emotion come out, it needs an exhaust. However, the more we drove it and the more we pushed the car, the more we realized that this is a beast of its own. It does things that the STO or the Huracan platform in general does not do. Main one is revving easily to 7,000, 8,000, even pushing 9,000 RPMs with that 10,000 red line. Everything in you wants to shift early. And whenever you do that, you are not getting the full emotion and the full experience of this car. Let her eat those RPMs, because that is when you start hearing the sounds, you start getting that sensation that says, this is a freaking Lamborghini. That doesn't come if you're shifting at 5,000, 6,000 RPMs. You need to get into the 7, 8, 9 range and let it eat those RPMs because it's built for that. The roller coaster, right, that I just mentioned of emotions was we started out like, oh man, this is really disappointing. The sound isn't there. It doesn't have the same emotions. It's kind of boring. This car is a unique and different platform that stands in its own space. It's not trying to be the V10. And now that we've spent these 24 hours with it, it's actually freaking brilliant by Lamborghini. They didn't try to make a car to compete with the Huracan. They built a car that brings out a whole different driving experience, and it complements the predecessor. It doesn't compete with the predecessor. It's different. You have to know it's different, but it's different in good ways. And also, I think there's going to be even more emotion that gets brought out from this car whenever more exhausts start going on. And again, I'm sorry to Lamborghini corporate. They don't like hearing that because it messes with warranties. So this roller coaster that we went on was, OMG, we already placed this order. What are we gonna do? To, wow, this car has some really cool aspects to it that are gonna be really freaking fun to continue to unlock. I didn't even get to play with the drift mode. That's gonna be fun. We're gonna need tires. This car is different, it's fun, and you need to change your drive style to meet this car at the levels that it can go to. Make sure you like, subscribe, and leave your comments down below, and we'll see you next time.